All right, welcome back to the second episode of the Do You Podcast, where I'm inviting guests onto this series to talk about their journey, where they are now, where they have come from. And I have the pleasure to introduce you to Mathew Craig, one of my oldest friends. We've been working together for a little while now, but welcome.
Thanks,
It's
bro.
a pleasure to have you on.
Be here, man. Congrats, bro.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I was like he just literally just said then, it was like a couple of years ago, we were talking about this.
You're here, bro.
So
You're here. It's mad. Like, I mean, it's the further you go on this stuff, you realize it's about the journey, not the destination. Motto.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited for this chat.
All right. Well, on that note, Phil, give the audience just a bit of an intro and a backstory of you.
Yeah. So, Mathew Craig, just a mixed race kid from the northern suburbs, to be honest, chasing the dream. So, work, I guess, in the music industry, entertainment industry. Co-founded AUD with my brother, a hip hop media ecosystem. Obviously, run Master Street Studios, an artist in my own right, and a youth worker. So, I guess my sort of contribution to the world is fusing the worlds of youth and young people with art, culture, and primarily through the lens of hip hop, bro. And just trying to make this world a bit better place.
There's so much to like unpack in that. Tell me the origin story. Where did it all begin?
As I said, a mixed race kid from the north, so who saw family work really hard, I guess. So learnt the values of discipline and hard work, and I guess chasing your dreams at a young age. That was the inspiration I had before me from my parents. So I think I was always enabled and empowered to do whatever I wanted, but just to work hard and be the best that I could be. So, went pretty well academically because my dad's Sri Lankan, mom's Italian. So I had the choice of being a doctor, a lawyer, and engineer. I chose lawyer. Went and got a degree at Victoria University, shout out VU, but realised halfway through my degree that, I didn't want to be a lawyer. I wanted to pursue my passion of music, and which I'd done from a young age. But I guess one thing most people in the diaspora that come from like different cultural backgrounds will understand is that often sport and music are considered hobbies. And so, the doctor, lawyer, engineer sort of story. So I was like, from a young age, I always enjoyed music. And my parents always pushed me to sport and music, but your studies came first. I was taught that. And so once I got my degree and realised I wanted to finish my degree and said, okay, I've done, I can tick that box. Now I'm going to go write words and put tattoos on my arms. And it's led me to where we are now. Pretty lucky to be running an organisation that's had a really strong cultural impact, and we've built an incredible fan base and following, got some great relationships, but more importantly, I've got to meet some cool people along the way and help contribute some cool stories and showcase some incredible narratives.
So we've got the youth work, and then now we've got $80. I think what came first when you got your degree, and because like I know, but you and Jay founded AUD.
Yeah.
And the whole, let's begin there because we can unpack that and go from there.
So to get to the $80 point, we'll probably go a little bit earlier. So my brother Junior is also a rapper, a DJ. My brother, my best mate. Like we did everything together. We grew up I'm a guitarist, he's a drummer. So we grew up playing music in our little basement studio that our dad helped us build. I remember digging dirt with a jackhammer and stuff in our first ever little studio to excavate this place, this room under the house. Yeah. So we turned it into a little studio, and I guess that formative experience was really strongly impressioned upon me that it was it's that's fun to do. You can make something out of nothing. So we always pursued music, and then strongly. It was around 2012. I was living overseas. I was living in London, and really it sparked a fire. Seeing the hip hop scene over there start to explode at that time. It's where UK hip hop, Tiny Temper, Dizzy Rascal, Professor Green, those sort of names started to get American and international attention for the first time. And so I got to witness this UK explosion of hip hop and go, oh, cool, this is possible in Australia in years to come. Because to that point, you always had to. I always say this: had to come out as a rapper in Australia back then, because it wasn't considered music. It was looked down upon. Australian culture hadn't fully embraced hip hop back then. So came back to Australia, and at the exact same time, I was having this, I guess, epiphany moment in the UK. Junior was having one in Australia at the same time. Like, we just both, some fire got ignited in us. We're like, this is what we really want to pursue. So I came back and had, I guess, all these networks and ideas from the UK about being around that. And Junior had been working hard here. Had put his first mixtape together. I'm like, okay, we're doing this. Started to put a crew together. Started to play gigs, and it just evolved from there. Like, there was no real blueprint. It's like when you go to a normal career, like say you become an electrician or a plumber or something, you go do your apprenticeship and you work through the stages and you get a job, and it's like you've got a blueprint in front of you, you've got an instruction manual how you can climb the ladder. That doesn't exist in the entertainment industry. It's just you're pretty much thrown to the wolves. Just try and figure it out as you go. So we just did that and fumbled around a bit, and had our crew, RMF, Real Music Family, which is
How did you find that crew? Like, considering that you just said that there was, like, it was hard there was no blueprint, like, trying to find that community, where did you guys find each other?
It's just other young people from our area who were into art, pretty much. So, people who knew who rapped, and also friends of friends. We were just kids who liked rapping and liked making music, and we just found other like-minded people like that, whether it was at events or just through mutual connections, through hanging out. Like, we were hanging out in garages and basements and just freestyling, and just like, that's how it sort of came. But like, so we had our friends, but it became intentional. Like, me and Junior were like, okay, it was about the same time acts like Odd Future, like Tyler the Creator, and A$AP Rocky and A$AP Mob started to really get notoriety and really start to blow in the US. And I guess that was a bit of inspiration at the time. Like, cool, we want to move as a collective. So we founded Real Music Family. Junior had started studying as a sound engineer, audio engineer, so that he would do all that sort of stuff, mixing and that for the crew. And my focus, because I had a background as a lawyer and strategy and stuff like that, I was handling the reins as manager, like as label manager, sort of. We weren't even a label at the start. We were just a collective, but I was the one sort of booking the shows and planning the rollouts and that, and Junior was mixing the music for our crew. And so that started to accelerate, and we started to sell out shows and stuff like that. And then around 2013, we were throwing an event, and a young dude with long hair from the eastern suburbs came through and rapped his ass off and killed everyone at the rap battles that we were hosting, and that's how we met Ivan Oos. And within, I reckon it was like 6 months or something of us connecting with him, and Junior started DJing for him, and we just started being homies, hanging out, making music and playing gigs together and that. He blew up online about 6 months after that, And when he blew up, it was real quick. He had a Facebook video go viral, and from there, he got booked for hella national tours. Like, he ended up on the road pretty much the better part of 2 years. Constant different tours, support for international acts and stuff like that. And Junior was his DJ. And so while Junior's on the road, he's meeting all these other artists from he's gone to every town and every city in the country. He's meeting all these artists that sort of looked and sounded like us, come from different backgrounds, and are making hip-hop that was more influenced by the international sounds rather than traditional Aussie blonde-haired, blue-eyed hip-hop. And there was no infrastructure for it back then. There was Triple J, but again, that was pretty skewed to what was popular at the time. So there was a lack of avenues for where this music could get showcased. And she was like, we're on the phone every day, I really want to do something or whatever. So he starts collecting all the music from all these people that we're linking up with and chatting with online and meeting that are just like us. And then he comes back to Melbourne and starts playing these DJ sets in our home basement studio, and coddled them $80. And he was just playing music in our basement studio. And I had a iPhone 4 at the time, and Facebook live stream had just launched. So we started live streaming the sets, and the algorithm did its thing. It was innovative. We're tagging in people as they're playing their music and stuff, and it just blew up. Like, within 3 live streams, we're getting tens of thousands of shares, likes, views, comments, people from all over the world. And we were like, okay, we got something now. And so we hit up like radio station, Sin FM, had a show on there within 3 weeks of that or something. And the rest is history. Within 6 months, we launched a blog. We had artists coming from everywhere, and the following just grew really quickly. Right place, right time, but also had the connections, I guess, and the respect, being artists and being relatively well known just amongst our peers. That the brand and the whole motto of being by artists for artists was what we tried to do. We didn't want anyone to control the narrative apart from the artist. And that accelerated pretty quickly. And what are we now? That was nearly 8 years ago. So it's been a pretty wild journey.
There's three things. Ivanu's cooking channel on TikTok is
Young Cook.
Oh man, dude, I love it.
He's in Vietnam.
Yeah, I saw he's in he's on a scooter to he went down to Hoi An, or he went to Da Nang, wherever he went. I'm just jealous.
Yeah.
Man, I love your content. Two, starting off, no one. Yeah, there was no blueprint. There was no nothing. You were literally just like pissing in the dark. Yeah, it was just didn't matter what where you were going. It was like playing GTA, and the map just never revealed itself. And then the second one was that when Jay was traveling, when touring, and it was just like that constant relationship of networking. Yeah, when as things started to pick up and you defined your roles, and Jay was doing one thing and you were doing, I guess you can speak on both, but personally, you're developing like all of these new skills, all of this new way of, I guess, articulating yourself in a specific, completely niche market that really didn't, like you said, didn't necessarily exist for the people. Like you had Triple J. How did that go? Like developing and building and growing. Was it exciting? Was it hard? Was it stressful? You could see the top of the mountain, but like taking each step, how did that?
Yeah, good question. All of the above, to be honest. It was, you absolutely nailed it when you said we were trying to do something, but we were trying to develop a market as well at the same time. And we're not responsible for the whole fact that Australian hip hop now is a flourishing industry, but we're definitely an important part of that story. And so that was absolutely the challenge. We not only had a label and we're trying to break artists or like build a profile, which is hard enough on its own, but we're trying to do it in a market where it wasn't accepted in Australia. Hip hop didn't look like it does today, but I knew it was going to. For a few reasons. One, the UK experience told me that Australian hip hop will do this in the next decade. You got the opportunity to be at the forefront of this. But then also just my, I guess, not only connection to culture, but my youth work to an extent, especially being a multicultural youth worker, and that's the sort of the background I have, told me and sort of I got insight that the demographics of Australia were changing, and because I was part of that demographic change, and seeing that the community and the youth was looking and sounding more like myself, I'm like, this is only a matter of time. So I had a strong belief that was going to happen, but did that make it any easier? Absolutely not. Like it was tough, and it still is today. Like you'd consider us established. We're definitely one of the major players in the space that's unfortunately a shrinking space in terms of music media in general. But yeah, we're one of the major players in hip hop in Australia now. But even then, that's a challenge day by day. Like all businesses in the space would be considered small, medium businesses because it's 26 million people in Australia, and what percentage of them are into hip hop? You know what I mean? So we're now finally flourishing in terms of how we have been before, but that's still a daily competition. And you got competition not only from within the music space, but the wider entertainment space, and certainly now with the barriers to entry into music getting lower and lower, there's technology that anyone can wrap now. The dependence on social media and the fact that any influencer can now step into the space makes it incredibly competitive. So that's a daily challenge. But along the way, I've had to learn resilience, determination, patience. But probably the two most important things to me have been the ability to innovate. So from day one, we were innovating live streaming. You know? So always trying to stay at the forefront of that, not only in terms of curation, but in terms of tech and just the way that's moving. And then the second one is like just values and integrity. That's the most important thing to me. is I still firmly feel like and believe I'm the same person that I was 8 years ago. I think I'm still in it for the same reasons. I don't think my value set or intention has changed. The fact that I come at this at a lens of seeing music and specifically hip hop as a vehicle for social change. I can still consider myself almost a bit of a youth worker in the music space. Like, I'm absolutely a musician, and I got runs on the board in that respect. But you notice that a lot of people, and as I guess they should, in the entertainment industry, are in this for the outcome of entertainment, for nothing more than gaining the most eyes and ears as possible, which is valid, but that's just not my purpose. My purpose is absolutely to influence as many people as possible, but it's about influence. It's about trying to improve lives and improve culture, to be honest. So that can get challenging at times, but I stay sort of steadfast to that purpose, that if I'm enabling social change or growth or development for one person, then I'm sort of doing my job.
Being very authentic.
Yeah.
100%. One thing I liked was the innovation and the competitiveness that you were saying that's in the market. Being, we don't have the numbers like America or UK. Tell me, like, how did you differentiate yourself from those competitors in the market? Innovating your content, your live streams. What did you do that was different, or at least in the beginning?
Yeah, in the beginning it was like we're the new kids on the block, so we could do whatever we wanted to, and that's the value of being independent as well. And I think that's for any sort of not only creator but entrepreneur. Is when you're independent, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do, and so if you want to pivot. Like, if you want to change. Like, it's you're steering the ship at the end of the day. And for me, like, innovation looks like trial and error a bit, taking a gamble, taking a risk. But also, if you're not innovating, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I've got a strong commitment just to personal development and just trying to get better in all aspects of my life, like whether it's going to the gym or eating better or, reading books and studying or whatever. I think you should probably take that lens to your business as well. Like, just trying to improve, sharpen, iron sharpens iron type stuff, prune the roses.
But you're always falling back to that authentic. Yeah?
Yeah, there's got to be real. Like, but also it comes back to, purpose. Everything, I'm a very purpose-driven person. Almost won't do something unless I know what the reason behind it is. I don't know if that's my upbringing or what, but I say no to way more stuff than I say yes to. And I already say yes to too much stuff, in my opinion, because I'm just careful, because I'm protective of energy. And I think that's important, and aligning with people that see the world the same way you do. That's when it comes back to authenticity. It's like, even if it's, and I have in the past, but even if it's going to benefit me, probably don't want to work with someone I don't see eye to eye on, or if the experience is not going to be worth it. And I've turned down money to work with certain partners because I didn't see eye to eyes on values, and I would have been in a better financial position by taking the options. But at the end of the day, all you got is your integrity. Really, I feel you got to look yourself in the mirror every morning.
Do you think that those decisions? Obviously you got your moral compass, but seeing other people, like, because you've been doing this for so long, you saw other people take those avenues, and you saw maybe the person that they became, and you just didn't want to,
Interesting. I hadn't thought of it like that, but that's I definitely do think other people would take opportunities that I wouldn't. But also, by the same token, like, good luck to them, I guess. Their why or their purpose of doing what they do might be different than mine. So who am I really to judge that? And I definitely find myself sometimes you're always scanning the environment, I guess. So you're always looking at what competitors are doing in that. And I find myself sometimes getting critical internally, or saying, I wouldn't have done that, or I'd do that differently. But also, who the fuck am I to? No one's going to tell me how the fuck I should run my shit. So who am I to tell anyone else how they should run theirs, really? Like, do your thing. Like I think when I was younger, and most people do when you're younger, you probably do take that critical approach, but why even spending time focusing on what others are doing? I feel like it's just wasting energy to an extent.
Very true. And I think when I first got into like doing this videography, trying to define what it is that I actually do, and you were like a massive driver and helper, and at least pointing me or steering me in the right direction. It was just kind of like I always wanted to go and do shit, and like all the music videos that we've made together, like that being just like
go check them all out.
Yeah. You're innovating, yeah, and I want to do this, and it's like, cool, man, I'm going to go learn that technique, and then now I've got that technique, but I think there's too many people, or at least beginning, that they're fearful of like stepping into this massive world of like trying to make it and do it on your own, but then you're seeing everybody around, and like I wish I wish I had you by my side for so many more moments in time, because you kind of like you put yourself up on against everybody else in the market that you want to exist in, and you forget it's like, man, there's enough people out there for everybody. There's enough, but
8 billion people.
Yeah, that's like you're going to find the right people to work with, and you're only a single person. There's only so many hours in the day. You can't do everything. Yeah, I think it's important for people like striving to do what they want to do, to remember to like, man, firstly, why did I begin doing this? Yeah. Like you hold stead on being the true self. And that's why you have made so many moves, if, like hypothetically, if you had taken one of these other, money making positions, you would have just then plateaued. You're still on a linear, projection. So, you're the new kids on the block. How are you developing from there?
Pretty rapidly, which was lucky, to be honest. So yeah, I think we had the radio show. We started a blog. This is 2016, I think, and we got 1 million views or something on our socials in the week of launching our blog. So I think that which we didn't plan on. Like over 8 years, I've definitely spent less than, I would say, $500 on digital ads in that time, maybe $1,000 in 8 years. Everything we've done is organic. 2 reasons. One, we've just been fortunate that we've created good content that's resonated with people and has grown our brand pretty consistently over that period of time. Second one is I just haven't had the funds to invest in it. So development looked like it was rapid, but it was strategic, but also had to hold the reins at some points, because when you are growing and you're a new kid on the block, everyone wants a piece of the pie. So we were getting a lot of approaches from different people, and I took a lot of meetings, especially in the entertainment industry. Everyone wants to bet on a guaranteed horse, they want a piece of that really quickly. But again, staying true to, I guess, our purpose and our core and our identity, we said no to a lot of things, continue to stay independent. But we had a pretty clear vision mapped out, and that was that we exist to be a connect. We call ourselves Australia's Hip Hop Connect. And that vision was about connecting 3 things. It was, 1, about connecting subcultures of hip hop within the country. So the dudes rapping in Melbourne could geographically, could be connected to the dudes in Darwin, have a platform where they communicate with people in Ballarat, and almost have like a database of people that they could access and collaborate and grow with and build with. That, so not only in terms of geographically, but subculture-wise. So like the guys who were into trap sounds could link with the guys who were into boom bap sounds, who were into melodic sounds or whatever. So people could branch outside of their own sort of cocoon. That was part 1, and we started to achieve that pretty quickly. We became the central hub for artists to connect with each other, and a lot of our following was artists, and still is to this day, or people who are striving to be artists. We see ourselves a bit almost like as, for those who are familiar with basketball, like the Players Tribune is a platform where basketballers can write op-eds, and it's almost just a platform for them to voice themselves. So we've always been by artists for artists. So that was vision 1. Vision 2 was about connecting those communities on the street with the music industry at large. So big corporates recognized what was going on, and those on the street had a pathway or a vehicle to connect with labels and sign deals and scale and all that sort of stuff. So that was part 2. So that involved that, to a largest extent, has been the biggest, most challenging part of the whole thing, and is the ongoing thing. So that looks like partnering with big organizations, building relationships with big organizations, and advocating for artists and showcasing artists. Like, I say unashamedly, like AU dollars has been the best A&R tool for labels signing hip-hop talent over the last 10 years. Like, it's been the number one. It's not even a question. We had labels coming onto our radio show to announce signings on the radio show from artists they'd discovered from AU dollars radio. Like, it was, and they were pretty open with us about it. And I'm lucky that I've still got a good relationship with a lot of the labels now, and we still work with them very closely. And they know what's up. Like, you guys have tapped into the talent before anyone. So artist development is what we do. So you're connecting that bridge. And that looks like, we've done partnerships over the years with Amazon Music, TikTok, Apple Music, Cater Radio, you name it. We've done stuff for whether that's one-off things or, South by Southwest, Big Sound, like trying to move in those industry professional spaces, staying authentic to who we are and representing that and building that bridge. So that's been vision number 2. It's been the most challenging, is always ongoing. And then vision number 3 was about connecting Australia to the world. And that's been ongoing and looked in a couple of ways. One, us starting to link with organizations in the States and build bridges there, showcase our talent, we do some press and artist development work as well, showcasing the artists that we work with into blogs and platforms in the States. But also trying to build an audience over there, which you're involved in. Like, we've done a heap of international interviews, Zoom, in person, and all that sort of stuff, so that we get international eyes on, that's going on in Australia. And also, we're linked with organizations like Billboard, TNZ, like big platforms, to continue to be that bridge. So that's what development looks like, but it's like we're running 3 races at the one time, and it's like you're spinning a million plates and trying to keep it all spinning at the same time. Like,
I think that was going to be the next question. It was, alongside AU dollars, how did you make sure that you didn't lose your lid? What was everything you were doing for yourself?
I didn't know about self-care and like those sort of things till I was like 29, 30. I had no idea. Like, and if I look back, I definitely would have been smarter and got the best of my performance. I just thought at the time that you just had to run full tilt 100% of the time and just ignore everything else and just run and like see where it is. And I just turned off to everything else in my life and just ran, but didn't take care of myself, didn't get enough sleep, didn't train, didn't eat good, especially through my 20s. Part of the entertainment industry is partying. So like partying a lot, taking a lot of drugs, drinking, all that sort of stuff, while still performing at a very high level. But then I got to, maybe it's age as well, where you got to 29, 30, definitely around the pandemic time, and went, oh shit, like I had to slow down and realize, I haven't been taking very good care of myself. So that's probably one of the most important lessons I've learned along the journey is even a Ferrari needs a pit stop. So, and a Ferrari is a well-tuned sort of car. It's not one that's beaten if you're going to be in this game for a long period of time. So that's definitely one lesson that's been really good about taking care of myself, but also that's linked closely to self-worth and being able to separate your personal self-worth and identity from your venture. I think that's very hard to do for a lot of entrepreneurs. We probably all suffer from anxiety and insomnia, and anyone who's running their own business. And very much our performance in our work life can affect just how we think about ourselves. And so that's probably been the other lesson along the journey, is like, you are not your venture. You are not your business. It's a part of you, but it's not all of you. You got people that love and care about you regardless. And so that's been probably the 2 important lessons along the journey, which spinning all the plates is like, I definitely needed to readjust the plates and look at them. Otherwise, they were going to crash at some stage, because I think it's impossible to maintain like that. And then unfortunately, I think that's why you see a lot of people in the entertainment industry fall off after a period of time and end up with serious issues, whether it's around addiction or mental health and stuff, because it can be a toxic space like that unless you've got strong sort of principles and ability to take care of yourself.
I want to go so let's go back to diving more into being an entrepreneur and like not knowing where to begin. Like, you've got your hobby, like I really loved making videos, but then as soon as I stepped into the world of like trying to run your own business, there was all your plates. You just keep adding to the plates. What was probably like one of the most interesting skills that you picked up on this journey that was not something that you would have gone out and learnt, but you had to because it was a necessity to continue running?
Yeah, that's a great question. Definitely the thing that's not taught and needs to be taught is emotional intelligence. Like, you can be so good at your skill set and so good at what you do, but if you don't know how to communicate with people and you don't know how to manage relationships and you don't know how to be emotionally intelligent, that everyone is a complex human being and has best ways to be received or approached or whatever, I don't think you can achieve success. And that's probably something I definitely underestimated. Is I was very oblivious to that fact probably when I was younger. I just thought, especially in the entertainment industry, it's such a relationship-based ecosystem. Because it's not like sport. In sport, you have a winner and a loser. Sport, you have someone who runs the fastest or jumps the highest, and you can measure value on that. How do you do that in a subjective industry like art? You can't really. So it's dependent on not only your product and your evidence base with an audience or whatever, but your ability to communicate and sell that and build that relationship and development and see a mutual vision and alignment. So that's probably the one thing that has been a challenge to me in terms of it being unanticipated. And I need to always be conscious of that. Just because 1 + 1 = 2 doesn't mean you're going to get 2, because your 1 and someone else's 1 need to align to make that 2. And someone else's 1 might look more like a 0.8 or something because of what they've got going on in their lives. So maybe you need to come to the 1.2 to make that 2 that you need. I know it's a long-winded analogy, but being conscious of that is very important. There's no such thing as a straight linear path when it comes to entrepreneurship. There's all these factors that you need to take into consideration, and the vision and your end result never looks exactly like what you set out as the start. But that's part of the beauty of the journey, I think.
Touching on on the development of that skill, did you do anything specific to strengthen that?
2 things. One was constantly, checking myself and constantly reviewing my own performance or my own way I approach people, my own skill set, my communication skills, committing to development of that and committing to reflection and to objectivity and to stripping away of ego. That's definitely the first thing. And the second thing is surrounding myself with people who are better at that than I am. Realizing that you can't do it all. No one can do it all by themselves. Anyone who says, I made it all on my own, it's a lie. You need to bring other people into the fold, and you can develop skills, but you can't. You can be a jack of all trades, you can own a master of none. You can't master everything. So recognizing that there's deficiencies in my skill set and other people would complement that and bringing them into the fold. I've got people in my team who are much better at building certain relationships and partnerships than I am, who can communicate in certain spaces better than I can. So let them do their thing. And realizing you don't know it all and being teachable. Definitely when you're an entrepreneur and you need to have a sense of resilience and like dog-mindedness to go all out, but you can't ever let that turn into sort of pig-headedness and let your ego to get out of check. You need to still remain teachable. So that's been an important part of it, surrounding myself with people who are more intelligent than me in certain spaces and have got more wisdom than me in certain spaces and trying to learn from that.
Did you ever try and gain like mentorship from anybody?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I guess in terms of that, what were you trying to gain from that relationship? We're reaching out to someone who had something that you didn't knowledge that you didn't have.
Yeah, for sure. Again, it comes back to, it's always about values for me. Like, I would find it very hard to seek out a mentor who was all I could obtain from them as purely their status or something. For me, it was like I was just fortunate along my journey to find certain people that I aligned with on how we viewed the world, and some of them happened to be older than me and more mature than me, and informally sort of mentored me. I don't think I ever sat down with someone and said, hey, can you mentor me? But I definitely have lent on people and sought wisdom, and we've both known that that's exactly what I'm doing, but also seeing where I can aid them along their journey as well, if I can. That's been really important, and been really beneficial as well, because I've made some really good friendships out of this as well, and who knows what they might look like outside of work and stuff like that. That's been a really cool part of it.
Mm. Would you agree that it is one of the most important steps when it comes to like stepping into this entrepreneurship, or even just just wanting to achieve something that independently? Networking is a fundamental aspect of that.
I hate the word networking, to be honest, just because it's got this it sounds so dry to me, and it just sounds so like new age conferencey. So I've always tried to stick away from networking. Absolutely, I understand what it is, and it's very important. Like, building your Rolodex of relationships is super important. I suck at it. I might seem like I'm good at it. I'm an extroverted introvert. So on the outside, I look like I can communicate, and I can. That's a learned behavior. Like, internally, man, I want to chill home with my dog. I don't want to be out at events. That's just how I'm wired. But it's important to build relationships, not only for self-benefit, but for communal benefit. And that's been a very important factor, especially in the industry I've been in, because I was trying to develop the industry while trying to develop myself at the same time. So being a connector was really important, that we were visible and connecting with different people and enabling them to connect, because then that built an ecosystem where we all could flourish, but we could flourish. Without doing that, we couldn't flourish. So that's really important. And again, going back to the surrounding yourself with people with skills better than you, like, juniors are way better at that than I am. Junior is the life of the party. Junior will go out and meet a whole bunch of people, and like at the end of a night, this is how we would do it. We'd go out and he'd network with a bunch of people or whatever, and at the end of the night, he'd go, oh, these are 6 people, this is the breakdown, and then hand the business over to me. Like, I know how to get from that A to B, yeah? He's really good at getting that A in the door. And so I've got certain people around me that are great at that, and I just play my role within that. But networking is really important as well. Well, the way I just consider it is just relationship development, and realizing that it's impossible to be on this journey alone, no matter what you're trying to do. So why not surround yourself with positive people that you have good relationships and a lot of commonalities with, and you can enjoy the journey together, whether they're your suppliers, whether they're contractors, whatever. You're going to have to do business with other people. So seek out people that are like the same shit as you, and then you might develop a really cool relationship out of that. So that's how I sort of look at it. I keep my circle relatively small. I definitely communicate with a lot of people abroad and need to, being in the entertainment industry, but those that are my close circle, if you're in my close circle, because we'll hang out and we won't talk a thing about the industry. We won't talk a thing about music. We'll talk about the footy or whatever. And I like that. That's been one of the benefits out of this, is like networking, but then being able to filter through that and go, oh, fuck, there's some people I really fuck with. Like, let's have beers on the weekend or whatever. Let's do something like that. Like, that's been a real cool benefit out of this as well. No different to, like, I feel when you go to school or uni or whatever and you meet new people and you build relationships. I think business can be just the exact same, and it's more enjoyable when you do it that way. That's never come naturally to me. It's been a learned behavior, but that's how I sort of view it these days.
What else are you doing for your your personal development, like in terms of, you know, where you've come to now? What else are you working on, or are you striving to become better at?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm definitely addicted to like personal development. Like, started journaling this year, and that's been a really cool experience. Training physically and mentally, meditation, mindfulness, all those sort of things. Like, I'm at a point in my life where I'm just trying to be the best human I can be and upskill in all these different areas. So, in the next 5 to 10 years of my life, probably like to start a family and stuff like that. So definitely preparing myself as a human to step into those sort of roles. Adopting a dog was one of the best things I ever did. Has taught me a whole host of life skills, things about myself, but how I communicate with others and that as well. But my passion and, as I said, my why and my purpose has never strayed from that. Just trying to make the world a better place. And for me to do that, I've got to be a best version of myself. So what I'm really passionate about, is the youth work stuff and using music as that vehicle. So I'm always looking at new opportunities to do that, put some stuff in the works along that line. That is, measure my success by that. I don't care about the numbers. I do, but don't measure whether I succeeded or failed in this based on the numbers that were achieved or whatever. Base it on the people I empowered and what they achieved. That's my value in this. That's why I believe I'm just a conduit. I'm a connector. I don't ever believe my destiny is to have the biggest name or the most sales or any of that sort of stuff. It's just to be a conduit and help other people be the best version of themselves. And I'm fully satisfied if that's my contribution, because that's what makes me happy. And so realizing that and then looking for opportunities that enable me to do that, that's what keeps me sane and keeps me happy in this game. Seeing the success of others, I thrive off that. And it's cool to know you just played a little bit of a part in that.
With the youth work, teaching these younger kids, what's, in terms of everything that we've spoken about, and considering that, like, connecting the dots, looking back, you know, that relationship with looking after your health would, you know, it would be like an 80-20, you know, 80% you and then 20% business, you know, refueling, pit stopping every town. Articulating that to the children or the kids or, you know, who you're working with. How are you doing that?
Yeah. Man, I love working with young people, man. That's like, I just finished up a stint working in a primary school. Most of my work in my youth work stuff has been early secondary through to early 20s. Mainly working with culturally diverse young people, refugee newly arrived. But yeah, I recently just finished up working with a bunch of 10 and 11-year-olds, man. It was like one of the most fun experiences I've had in years. There's so much more switched on than you anticipate. I think because young people have had, now the generations come through, have had access to infinite information at their fingertips since they were born. Like, our generation, like, our parents said something, we agree with it because they knew more than us. Now I can cross-check anything my parents say. I mean, so they're incredibly switched on, but then that comes with its own challenges. Yeah, and there's so much information out there and so much access to everything, but so much pressure as well. So yeah, navigating that and coming back again to values and why you do what you do. Like, in my youth work approach, I'm very much strength-based and like youth-led. So like, I believe in the ecosystem and sort of the approach that if you give people enough information, you give them all the potential consequences or outcomes of different courses of action, they'll pick the best one for them. They'll pick the right one if they've got all the options. And so it's about trying to do that. It's trying to communicate information in a palatable way to young people that they can understand what you're saying. But also keeping in mind that young people, their brains are developing, like, they don't like authority. That's what I was like at that age. So trying to come to an approach that just being a human being. It was really funny. On last week, I just had this program that I did finish up, and we did our review with like the funding body and the principal of the school I was working in and my manager and all that. And the main bit of feedback I got, everything was really overwhelmingly positive, you know, which is amazing for the colleague that I work with as well. We ran this program together. But the one bit of like constructive criticism was you can do better on the discipline. Like, don't be afraid to discipline the young people, or like be a bit harder if you need to, because I tend to like just lean on the teachers for that. I'm not a teacher. So as a teacher in the room, I let them do the disciplining, and they're like, oh, you can work, if you want to be a bit more affirmative to get the kids' respect, Don't be afraid to do that. So I guess that's sometimes I try and be too relatable or whatever. That was the only feedback I got. So I think that's really important. That was cool to hear that, because to me it was like, okay, maybe I can reel it in a bit, but my intention of just trying to relate to people on a human level and try and see eye to eye rather than have a power dynamic that's evident to other people. So living out my value set, if I may.
Do you think that you'd open up your own, like hypothetically down the road, you've got your own youth center, your own whatever, school?
100%. It's happening already. Like Martin Street is basically that to the area, not in a youth work capacity, but a lot of the artists are there for the first time in the studio, and I intentionally create an environment that is developmental. Most of my work now, even through AUD, is less about the media side and more about the artist development side. So I find myself in mentoring sessions with young artists every week, nearly every day. And that to me is unashamedly about development of not just artists, but human beings. And any of the artists I work with get really shocked at the start of the sessions when they think we're there to talk about how their song can get as many streams as possible. And all of a sudden we start having conversations about why are you pursuing music and what does it mean to your life and that. Because the talent is the least important factor I've seen in success in this game or not. It's all the other shit. You can be as talented as you want, but if you don't have the skills to get yourself a job or put food on the table, you will make decisions that would mean you can't commit to music. You know what I mean? If you have struggles with substance abuse or mental health issues, you can't physically go on tour and stuff like that. Like it doesn't enable it. So talent is the least important factor. So I really intentional in the work that I do in the artist development space about I'm trying to develop holistic artists who have got all the different, I guess, tools to handle this journey, not just a great singer or a great rapper who can do good social media numbers. That's a really important part. We do absolutely focus on that. That's one piece of the puzzle to success. And that's a bit of a shock to artists when I approach it like that, but they understand pretty quickly. So in answering your question, opening up my own youth center or something like that, some conversations about how I can start to use the space in a more formal capacity for like that are happening at the moment. But yeah, that's absolutely the outcome is the more I can fuse those two worlds together, not only in an online capacity, but in a physical space, I'll look for opportunities to do that. Whatever that looks like, whether it looks like a studio, a youth center or whatever. Yeah, that's a real passion of mine.
In your experience in this teaching field, have you found that going out and experiencing real environments outweighs a teacher sitting in front of them and telling them what it is?
Yeah, for real. Well, I'm a youth worker, not a teacher, so I definitely don't want to take away from the work that teachers do. They're incredible, and I don't think I could do it, to be honest. So I play a very different role in the ecosystem of the development of young people. And mine definitely comes from a lot more from learned experience and just where I've been about. Most of my work over the last few years has been with multicultural communities in the north of Melbourne. And I'm a multicultural kid that grew up in the northern suburbs of Melbourne. So I instantly managed to have this rapport with these young people. And they look at me and then they hear how I talk and they're like, oh, you're one of us. And it's that's really cool and is absolutely beneficial. But I think it's almost like a bit of a chicken and the egg scenario. It's like when you're you need to go and get experience to do this work. Well, I only do this work because of my experience. For me, that's what came first. Growing up in diverse communities and the challenges that came with that for those people and whether they're friends or relatives or whatever, and experiencing that. And, having friends die young, having friends get addicted to substances, seeing people go through crisis and all that sort of stuff, incarceration, all that. Those are the things that drive me to pursue what I am pursuing, try and maybe make a few decisions or have a few conversations that might change a few of those paths. And if I can do that, then I sort of played my role. Because I look back and I just I think everyone deserves a bit of a chance. And I'm just trying to be the person that I wish I had. And that's not to say I came from a rough upbringing. I didn't. My parents are really loving, caring, empowering people. But what I mean by that is being a role model and a mentor that others can look up to. I had that in certain areas, but I didn't have Mathew Craig, so I'm trying to be that person to other young people. And that's a challenge, but it's a real blessing.
Mm. Is there something specific that they struggle with, I guess, taking on board, or is there a part that of teachings that you're trying to get across to them you're like you just said then, what you wish you had known or what you wish you had gotten given?
Yeah, good question. For sure. I think not only young people, but all human beings struggle with identity. I think we're all struggling with that every single day of our lives. Who am I? Why am I here? How do I interact with other people? Who's right? Who's wrong? And those questions of identity come across a number of things. It can be gender, it can be sexuality, it can be race, it can be religion or whatever. There's all these different intersections. And I think every single human being struggles with that on a daily. Where do I fit in? And so that's the biggest challenge I see for young people is who am I and how do I respect myself? But then how do I respect other people who might have different identities to me? It's just this patchwork. And I think we're all struggling to figure that out as humans. And that's why we see now a society that's become real echo chambers. Politically, we're at a real divide. Definitely issues of gender, issues of race. There's a lot of heated tension in society at the moment. So a lot of my work is to try and undo that a bit and try and bring people together. And so if I can do that on a micro level, it then has a scalable impact. I think, I don't know, maybe if there were, and there certainly were, but if there was more of a view on the development of young people and these sort of conversations and mental health and substance abuse, there was more of that stuff over the last 20, 30, 40 years, we may not find ourselves in the current socio climate that we're in at the moment, where tensions are really heated between different nationalities, different religions, the gender divide. The world's a bit of chaos at the moment. So I think the biggest challenge for young people is not only them finding their sense of identity in a complicated world like we all had growing up, their world's more complicated than ever. And now they've got all these screens and they've got, the average 4-year-old with an iPad has more access to information than Roman emperors did back in the day. They know more about what's going on in every corner of the world than people who were making decisions for millions of people. And this is a 4-year-old with an iPad and they're just trying to go to daycare or whatever. So that overload of information, I don't think we're equipped for that. I feel overloaded. How the fuck does a kid feel with all that pressure? And not only the information overload, but then the pressure to keep up appearances on social media, the dopamine hit of a like or of a comment or whatever. We've never had such instant access to not only information, but instant gratification. We don't need to wait for anything these days. So what does that do to our psyche of being able to have patience and have persistence and the ability to stick for something? That's definitely an issue I see these days. So yeah, what's the biggest challenge? Finding your place in a complicated world, which I think we're all struggling with, but then add in the pressures of being an adolescent and your body developing and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty hectic. And so I just try and impart that you're doing okay to the young people. It's okay to have these questions and these worries and be unsure and to make some fucking shit decisions. We all do. But trying to be better and taking on more information and trying to be the best version of yourself is the only way out for anyone.
Do you see that with the consistent development of where we're heading with technology, that it's that that window of giving them the opportunity to learn how to be by themselves or learn how to just find themselves, at least a little bit of themselves, so that once they've found that little bit, they're fuck, I really enjoyed that journey. I'm going to figure out the rest of me. Do you reckon now, with these echo chambers, and, living essentially their lives on social media, we're we could eventually lose the ability to teach people on how to identify themselves, of how they actually really want to truly feel?
Yeah, it's a question I often weigh up. I think overall, the development of social media and the internet to like the big ubiquitous tool that it is overall, it's a net positive. Like I think connectivity, access to information, ease of life, overall, the pros outweigh the cons, yeah, but we can't ignore the cons. And so I think part of what we're starting to see, and it's pretty crazy when you think about it, like digital detoxes, like taking a break off you, like having set times where you're not on your phone and stuff because it's so attached to us. Like that's crazy if you thought of that 10 years ago. So we've definitely set up an environment that, yeah, it's positive that we have young people can use this stuff, but there's some fraught dangers, yeah, with like addiction to dopamine, addiction to phones. So taking a smart approach to that, and I don't think it's like you can't have your phone. I don't think it's a banning, like this talk of like raising the age to social media and stuff. I'm not a fan of like prohibition and that sort of stuff, but we do have to acknowledge that there are some negative impacts of what's going on. So I think, yeah, imparting to the young people that yes, this is an important tool and part of your life, but it can't consume your life. Having the ability to go. I was fortunate when I was young is that my mum never let us I didn't have a gaming console till I was well into my teen years. I had an Xbox, yeah, but we had one computer in the house and it was in a family area that everyone could see what was going on, and we would play games on it, and we had a certain amount of time. Like my mum was like, no, you're out in the street. Like I want you out kicking the footy. I want you out rollerblading or skateboarding, whatever, like get outside. And so I think imparting that to young people today is that like the internet's very important, but so is getting out and seeing nature. So is feeding the ducks down the pond or watching the sunset. Like that's what it means to be human. And I think that's one of the challenges we're dealing with now is like, what does being a human in the technological 21st century look like anymore? Like, because it's so important to exist online, but then are we missing out on so much else?
I don't know. This is going to be a loaded question, but like, do you think creativity is going to die with our generation in consideration with how AI is developing alongside learning how we're being creative? Do you think like, you know, like we're trying to, like you just said then, no one, like our development of how we grew up was riding a bike through parks and, you know, riding over to your friend's house and like playing whatever, like, you know, being outside, getting dirty. Like now it's.
Yeah, I'm a bit upset at how AI has unfolded because like I thought AI and the robots were meant to do all the shit jobs so that humans could do the creative fun stuff. And it seems like AI is now taking all the creative jobs and humans are left doing the shit stuff. It's like, I think we're doing this wrong. Like, a robot's a robot, yeah, like it can follow a set of programs or whatever and obviously teach itself for that. But at the end of the day, it's not human. It doesn't have emotion. So like I'm pretty scared of that future, to be honest. Like I'm scared seeing AI take jobs from creative people at the moment in the entertainment space. It's again, I think coming back to that question of identity, I think one of the most challenging questions that humanity needs to wrestle with is, what does it mean to be human in the 21st century? And we wrestle with those questions over like, AI is going to be a tool to increase productivity, but does it benefit humanity? And I think one of the biggest issues, okay, we're getting into some real meta stuff here, but is I understand that I work in the entertainment industry, but I come from a point of art and culture first. So I have the worldview of looking everything through the lens of art and culture rather than looking at it through a lens of capitalism. Because if you purely just look at things through a lens of capitalism, like number go up, well, then you ignore all the other externalities and the negative impacts that might happen through that course of action. Because if you're generating profit, you're maximizing profit, that's the only thing that matters. So it's really important to understand, as I said, that question of what does it mean to be human? Like, are our systems and our AI and our learning going to serve humanity, or is humanity going to serve the objectives of infinite growth? And I think we're seeing some of the impacts of that now, not only socially with young people, but environmentally. geopolitically, economically, when you look at things like housing affordability. We can't break the back of the housing market, but it's okay to let people be homeless. You know what I mean? It's okay to let houses sit empty because of value of the economy while people starve on the streets or whatever. It's like, hey, what are we serving here? And I think that's a question we've got to wrestle with. And I don't know. I'm not sure whether I trust robots to do that for us. But then, to be honest, humans haven't done a really good job of that.
Yeah, we're trying to integrate with something to make better decisions when in reality it's just going to... But I think that like it stems back and bringing it back just to like creating the communities and the people that you want to be around. Like, you know, you and Jay created something because that's what you wanted to do. You know, it was kind of like, if you want to go and do something, go and firstly be authentic, and then you will naturally attract the people that, you know, of that vibe, you know, and you'll never have to, not never, but like, I guess you'll have lessened effects of, you know, looking online for validation for something that you probably don't really give a fuck about, you know?
Yeah, that's something I've learned over the journey as well. Because like, been really fortunate that you've got a great audience of tens of thousands of people. I've got great relationships with professionals over the world. I managed to sit down with the biggest artists in the world and have conversations, go backstage at the biggest festivals. That's all really, really cool. But then what gives me validation in the end? And coming back to that idea that validates one part of me, my professional life or business or whatever, but that's not the whole of me. What are the other things that validate me and make sure that I'm filling my cup from those things as well? Because what happens if one thing goes all the way? If your entire self-worth is built on your business and then one day your business doesn't exist, what does that mean for you personally? So the same approach that I take to artists, I'm like, yeah, let's get these things in order, but how are these things going? I need to constantly be reflecting on that myself as well. What gives me the validation on this journey? And absolutely success and actualizing goals professionally is a part of that, but it's not the whole thing. Like, Mathew Craig is one thing that happens to be my birthday as well, but Matt is just another guy as well.
I think that reflection of having things outside of what you just said, your professional, you know, your main, you know, what you're doing during the day, and like coming home and being able to play with the dog or you know, meditate. Honestly, anything else other than, you know, it's sad when you hear, or it's upsetting when you hear, and they just come back and, you know, they're consistently working, or if they're not, like they're not.
Well, I think hustle culture is toxic, bro. Like you see it on the podcasts and TikTok and all this about. It's a real alpha male sort of thing. Like, you got to work harder.
Oh, this dude, I've got 24 hours. I've got 2 days I make 2 days, 1 day, like 24 hours, and I split it into 3, and then now I've got 7 days in 1 day. It's like,
cool. Also, can I keep it real? You might have a lot of money and all that sort of stuff, but you're a fucking loser, bro. Like some of you, like, I know that's rough, but like, there's more to life than just number go up. And yeah, I might say that as someone who doesn't have a lot of wealth and who's never achieved that level of economic success. And so I don't know what it's like to sit up there. Cool. Yeah, valid point if that's how you want to criticize that. But holistically, life is like so much more depth. There's so much more depth. There's so much more out there than this one thing. And this is said to someone who, if you had told me 10 years ago I'd be where I am now, I'd be like, bro, no way. Like, you've done it, bro. You've made it. But that's also a big myth. There's no such thing as making it. This whole shit is a journey. You don't get to take none of this to the grave with you. Like, this is, you and I, we talk about simulation theory all the time. Like, this is one big choose your own adventure game, bro. So, like, enjoy the experience. Like, you've got to stop and smell the roses. Because if your whole focus is just the end and the ambition, which in my younger days was me to a large extent, it's not fulfilling at the end of the day. And you'll find yourself in a really lonely position and a really dark position because you haven't let in light from all these other different sources.
The sad part about that statement is that people will only realize that when they're in that exact moment. You know, telling someone that, they'll, you know, selfish reasons or whatever their reasoning is, you know, 10 years they go, I wish I had listened to that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I've worked with artists and the first thing they tell me is like, oh, when I get this playlist or I get this radio spot or whatever, then I'll be happy. Then if I get this number of streams, then I've made it. Guess what? We work with them and we get that opportunity. And guess what? The next question is, what's next? I'm like, what? You just said you'd be happy when you got that. Like, that's all you wanted. Yeah, but now I want this. I want this. Got to be based on, you got to actually have something tangible to do it well. Like if you're just trying to communicate with and get your message out and get your song out and build community, well, then that's an ongoing journey. Like, there's no tangible, we've made it, that's it. Like, that doesn't exist. If it did, the greatest artist in the world would just stop creating. I've made it, now I don't need to do it anymore. Because it's about this. It's about the journey and not the destination. And it sounds so cliche and it might sound so fucking lame, but it's real as fuck.
And that's probably my favorite part about deciding to do what I want to do and not go and, get a real job.
Yeah.
It's because the ups and downs and the days where you're just kind of like, fuck this, man. And I'll get here and I'll be like, or I'll leave at 10. I'll start here at 7 and I'll leave at 10 or 11, whatever. I got here when it was dark and I'm leaving when it's dark. You're just kind of like, this is shit. And then Thursday, I have a ripper day. And I get here and I'm fucking I'm put a song on and just it's always up and down. It's always a roller coaster. And it's always when I get the opportunity to tell someone, what's it like? It's it's fucking sick.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah. But you have to have that relationship with your professional self, but then as soon as you put your phone down, you take your watch off, you close the door, you put your laptop down, whatever, you're with your partner, with your dog, you're with yourself, you're doing things to better yourself and take yourself away from that consistent, I look at my dad and it was just always work, work, but that was our parents' mentality, and I'm so fortunate for that, the upbringing that we,
100%.
Aaron, Tim and I had, and the education that we received. But it was, now it's things have changed, and things have changed because the technology has changed. I like all the relationship, everything that we've spoken about is generally what I want this to be, because it is that form of the unknowing from someone else's journey and then seeing them get to a point of where you are right now, and your level of success doesn't matter. That is your personal opinion, regardless of anybody else. And I feel a lot of people are scared to take the opportunity to fucking see. You went and lived over in London. I went and lived in Vietnam. I went and fucking sold motorbikes. I didn't know. I don't know. I learned what a motorbike, how 4-stroke manual, whatever.
Yeah.
But I realized when I was working at the motorbike store, I never sold motorbikes. I just sold a dream. Yeah, and I fucking love Vietnam. And I'd sell Vietnam on anybody. So it was kind of this whole relationship with tracking this life that is completely your own. What the stimulation. Yeah, you're the main character. I'm just a fucking NPC in it.
Yeah.
I think once you kind of realize that, and you really chase the dreams and you really chase those opportunities where you're like, fuck, okay, I'm going to start that jewelry, sneaker collection, music, whatever, man.
Yeah.
It's just taking the opportunity to tell those stories and just be like, business sucks. It's fucking hard. Trying to do it on your own is,
to that roller coaster, you just got to ride it.
Man, but at the same time, it's you have those moments where you pinch yourself, When we're on a 4x4 getting driven around BTV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, there's just moments in time where you go, okay, cool. The first 12 months sucked. The next 12 months are probably going to suck, but, maybe not as much.
Yeah. I think when you understand that it's a roller coaster, it becomes a lot easier to ride. It's because you can get into this and you think it's just going to be like this, and it's totally like this. But when you just strap in, you're like, okay, like you were saying before, you have a rough day, but there's a good day coming. Or when you're having a good day, remembering and being present in that moment and being able to recall on that when you're not next in a shit space is really important. And also realizing that you can get off the ride if you want to. It's easy to feel trapped, but and this doesn't just go for business, but just in life, you have the power to change your circumstances. So make decisions that are going to ensure that you get the best sense of satisfaction or joy or whatever you're after in this life. Pursue that shit. Because at the end of the day, sounds like harsh reality, but you're born alone, you die alone. Who do you owe this to? You owe it to yourself to do what you want to do. And I say that as someone who's been on this journey for a long period of time, but I'm not going to be on this journey forever. I've got other things I want to go do with my life. I've got other parts of the map I want to explore. And the part of the map that I'm exploring the most has been freaking unreal. And I love that, and I'm still exploring it. But I do know there's other things I want to do as well. So don't let anyone box you in. Like, who is anyone to say you should, have your journey in the way that they desire? Well, they can do their journey like that. You do yours. You do you, bro.
I think that the issue lies with other people trying to reflect what
that sort of stuff.
Yeah, like it's like, man, that if I do that, then I'll have that, and they've just forgotten that, that person has actually been authentic. They've been their true self. Yeah, but I mean, like,
probably a place to live.
Well, I was like, yeah, I wanted to say, if you were to look down the camera and just say that, but you've literally just said exactly the way that I wanted to end the segment.
I'll finish with this. So my favorite artist is Kid Cudi. Yeah, you know this. He's a dude that his music got me through some of the darkest periods in my life. And my phone background for a lot of years was a photo of Cudi and my favorite lyric from his. So I'll look down the camera now and say, my favorite Kid Cudi lyric, it says, in the end, they'll judge me anyway, so whatever. And I just try and take that approach. You're going to get judged anyway, so might as well do it. You do you, bro.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
That was fun, bro.
That was good.
That's cool.